Now, about a year ago, I did an FSD Beta drive in the winter, and it didn't go so well. And I didn't expect it to go well. But it's been a year, and I want to know, does FSD do a better job when the roads are completely covered as they are right now? So let's see what it can do. And I don't actually expect it to perform all that well, but I guess we'll see what happens, because it does say we can engage FSD Beta. So I'm going to go ahead and make a right-hand turn here, and we'll go ahead and engage if it will let us, and it will, and we are good to go. Just out of an abundance of caution here, I'm going to lower my speed limit. And I've noticed that it actually hasn't run the windshield wipers, which surprises me. But we have FSD running right now, completely covered roads. Whoa, this road has a bit of a scallop to it, and I'm concerned about sliding off the road, so I did disengage there. So it still wants to ride to the very right, and you can see that it's having trouble distinguishing where the actual road is. 500 feet, turn right on. But it is letting me do it. Now we're going to be coming up to partially covered, and we'll see if it does a good job there.
Now turn right onto Marion Bypass.
It's kind of a bit all over the place, and it did kind of slide a little bit, but it is trying to work it out. And we're going to go ahead and go. And I would say this is less than ideal, because I'm actually not on the road. And you can see that it's now saying, okay, I think I know where the road is. Now, there isn't anybody around me right now, so I'm letting it kind of do its thing. If there were cars around me, there'd be no way I would let it continue doing what it's doing. It might be difficult to see on camera, but the car isn't driving on the track as far as created by other cars. It is now, and now it's decided it wants to get off to the left-hand side. There is a median. It's difficult to see. This is a left-hand turn, and it's trying to figure out what that left-hand turn is. Okay, now it's thinking it's going to get over. Oh, it wanted to hit the median, and I actually don't trust that it's going to stop. So it is struggling right now. And I expected it to struggle, but I'm further along than I was this time last year by a long shot, where I just got to the bottom of that last hill and it absolutely freaked out and said, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to go ahead and re-engage here, and we do have an indication that FSD may be degraded, and it clearly is. And now it's doing this thing where it's thinking it wants to maybe get over, and the steering wheel turned. Car trying to get around this car. I'm not exactly sure what it's doing here, but let's go ahead and see how it makes this particular turn. It's still wanting to get over. Not sure what it's thinking it's going to do here. Ready to take over here. The steering wheel has turned quite a bit to the left. Okay, we got a green light. We'll see if we straighten out. It is not straightening it out on its own. Re-engage before the turn. Can't. I'm gonna have to make this turn manually. I did. It is pretty slippy slidey right now. This would be difficult for most human beings, especially those that aren't used to driving at this time of year, especially in the snow. Pretty accustomed to it here in Iowa. Again, full self-driving is degraded. I'm going to manually reduce the speed here. It doesn't seem to think that the speed is a problem. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it's finally running the windshield wipers, but I had to actually manually initiate that, and I apologize for the sound. Right now, it is actually doing a pretty decent job, even though it thinks there's another entire lane over here off to the right where there's clearly snow. But it's doing a pretty good job of trying to figure out where that center line is. And I would say it's tracking very nicely here. We are still 100% engaged in FSD. We're going to be coming up to a four-way stop. This lane kind of turns into a left turn lane, and the straight lane is off to the right. If you've seen my past videos, you know how this works. Usually tries to figure that out by, wanted to drive off the road there. You can see we lost our FSD completely there for a second. Well, I manually got into this lane, but we'll see what it does here at this four-way stop. There are a number of cars. We have a creep wall again. We got a few people here doing some Iowa nice hand gestures telling me to go, so I did give it a little bit of manual gas here to figure it out on its own. Coming up on a car in front of us here. It is slowing down. My following distance is set to maximum of 7 right now. Actually, in the winter time like it is right now, even at setting it at 7, I would say that I'm probably following a little too close given how the roads are likely to slide when I apply the brake. So I'm going to lower my speed limit here just to put a little bit more distance.
500 feet, turn right onto 7th Avenue.
Then we're going to be making a right-hand turn. I'm going to cancel out of this trip. Normally we'd stop at my local caffeine shop, but we're not going to do that on this drive. We're just going to go ahead and proceed right to work. What's going to happen during this right turn? Car is sliding. Oh, car completely slid out. I had to take over, although it did make an attempt to make that turn. Let's go ahead and re-engage. Now again, this car is doing pretty darn well considering the road conditions. Now we've got another car that's pulling out in front of us here. The car is literally driving in the center of the 2 lanes here. Is it going to get over to the right as it starts to figure that out? Yes, it is. Being very aware of traffic. If the traffic behind me, there's no traffic behind me, was of any level, probably just a single person, I wouldn't let it be doing this on its own. So I may break out depending on what happens with traffic, but right now the traffic, at least behind me, is really light. And it did, if you notice in that last turn, even though we spun out, it was making an attempt to try to right itself, and it just got to the point where it just couldn't get it there all the way, and it yelled at me to take over. Okay, we're going again. Just doing a reasonably good job. We do have some traffic now, so I'm going to be a little more hyper aware of what's going on here, in case it does something a little strange, which I expect it to do in this weather. I'm really stressing this system right now. I really don't think that Tesla expects FSD owners to use it in these conditions, although since technically it says we can and it's letting me do it, I'm gonna go ahead and do it so you see what it's like. Now after this light, we're gonna be heading downhill, and then we should be, normally when it's dry, we'd be approaching 50 miles an hour, but we're not gonna be anywhere near that. We are going to manually hold our speed down because it's just super, super slick right now. But it is a right-hand turn. There's sometimes traffic. I can feel the car kind of moving around. You can see we're not actually in the driving lane at this point. Go ahead and speed up. I do have traffic behind me, so I may need to brake out if it does something a little weird. I'm going to manually slow down again. Again, it doesn't seem to understand that when conditions are like this, you need to really, really slow down.
Now turn right onto 44th Street.
We're going to go ahead and make a right-hand turn. I have no traffic to the right, which is good because I expect this turn to be rough, and it was rough. We did completely slide out, as you can see. I do have a truck behind me, so I'm going to drive manually here for a second, so I don't make this guy think that I can't drive.
In 500 feet, turn left.
Well, we're going to probably end the video right here. We are at my place of business. FSD in the snow, completely snow-covered roads. It's still a work in progress. However, if you go back and watch my last year video, it did exceptionally better in my opinion, and the roads are actually 100% covered right now, absolutely 100% covered. And I just wanted to get this out there in order to show everybody what it's like with FSD when the road conditions are terrible. I don't want this to be a ding on FSD Beta. I intentionally put it in this situation because I knew it was gonna struggle with it given my history with FSD. But since the car is telling me I can do it, I decided to do it and show you. So hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, I'd appreciate you hitting that like button, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We have videos like this and all kinds of other videos coming out all the time. So until the next video, safe driving.